Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. My name's Chris, and in this video, we're going to show you two things. We're going to show you, number one, how to switch your default free PBX module repository from Sangoma's module repo over to ClearlyIP's module repo. And second, we're going to show you how to Crosstalk brand your free PBX so that you get the Crosstalk logos and all that good stuff, which makes you appear smart, intelligent, and good looking. Of course it doesn't, but I like to say that. First and foremost, why would you want to switch to ClearlyIP's module repository instead of the default Sangoma module repository? Well, basically there are two reasons. If you are using any of ClearlyIP's modules for free PBX, that's going to be, Crosstalk phones and ClearlyIP phones use the Clearly Devices module. Their SIP trunking uses the Clearly Trunking module. And their soft phones use the Clearly Anywhere module. If you're doing any of that kind of stuff, or if you want to use any of the awesome software or hardware that ClearlyIP is putting out, Sangoma doesn't allow for third-party vendors to add modules to free PBX. Sangoma signs all of their modules with their master signing key, and if you put any third-party modules into free PBX, such as any of the ClearlyIP modules, you're going to get errors in the free PBX dashboard that say unsigned module. And the errors look scary, but honestly, they're simply cosmetic. It does not affect functionality whatsoever, but every time you log into free PBX, you will see that error. So, switching to ClearlyIP's mirror servers means that ClearlyIP is signing all of the modules instead of Sangoma, and those errors disappear. The second reason that you would want to switch over to ClearlyIP's mirror servers is for privacy. When you're using Sangoma's mirror servers, a lot of information about your PBX, including your deployment ID, the asterisk version, the OS version, what phones you have attached, when you're using the phone applications, all of this information is sent over to Sangoma, where ClearlyIP does not collect any of that private information. Okay, so let's hop right into it. Now, I have created an article called Switching to ClearlyIP Mirrors and Crosstalk PBX Branding. I will put a link to this article down in the description of this video for you to reference. And there are two steps. The first step here is switching to ClearlyIP's mirrors, and the second step is switching to Crosstalk PBX Branding. If you are looking to do both of these things, if you want to switch to ClearlyIP's mirrors and use the Crosstalk PBX branding, which I highly recommend you do, you only have to do step 2, because step 2 actually accomplishes both of those tasks. I have step 1 separate for folks that want to switch to ClearlyIP's mirrors but don't want to use the Crosstalk PBX branding. So the first step is switching to ClearlyIP's mirrors, and the first thing you need to do is log into your PBX as the root user. So here I am logged in as root, and the first thing we can do is check what repo are we using right now. And to check, we can say fwconsole setting module underscore repo, and that has to be in all caps. And so right now it tells us the repo that we're using is mirror.freepbx.org. That's Sangoma's default module repository. So now to switch to ClearlyIP's module repository, you can just copy and paste from the article that I have linked below, and it's just fwconsole setting module repo and then the new module repository that we want to use, which is https://mirror.clearlyip.com, and press enter. So now we can see changing module repo from freepbx.org to clearlyip.com, and if we run that first command again, we can see that our new module repo is mirror.clearlyip.com. If you're going to run updates on your server at this point, it's good to flush your update cache before you run those updates. So let me show you that command as well. It's fwconsole setting module admin underscore skip cache, and then we're going to set that equal to true. All right, so fwconsole setting module admin underscore skip underscore cache set equal to true. Basically saying, hey, the next time we run updates, let's clear out our module cache before we run those updates so that we're not getting old information. We can look up all of the available modules on the new ClearlyIP repository. So there we go. Module admin skip cache from 1 to 1. Looks like I had already cleared the cache at some point. Okay, so at this point you have now switched your server to ClearlyIP's module repository, but let's take a step further and actually brand this server with Crosstalk PBX branding. Keep in mind that if you want to do both the Crosstalk PBX branding and the ClearlyIP module repo, you only need to do this second step. You could have skipped the first step, but if you did run the first step, it's not actually going to harm anything. So once again, I have a command that you can copy and paste. Let me clear this out and paste it in there, and it's fw console ma for module admin, download install, and then the URL that points to the Crosstalk branding module. Okay, so we're done. If we go back to the Crosstalk PBX and we refresh, we can now see welcome to Crosstalk PBX. We've got our logo at the top and bottom, and we have now switched over to the Crosstalk branding. All right, now let's go update the server because there's going to be some new modules available. If we say admin, module admin, and then we hit check online, this is going to check ClearlyIP's module repository, and we should see some new stuff here. So scrolling down and looking in the publisher column, here we can see ClearlyIP. So there's ClearlyIP's trunking module. Let's go ahead and download and install their trunking module for their SIP trunking. Their licensing module, let's go ahead and download that. And then we have Clearly Anywhere module for their soft phones, Clearly Devices for the Crosstalk phones, as well as the ClearlyIP phones. And then we have an update, version 13.03 of the Crosstalk branding module. So we're going to go ahead and update all of that stuff and click Process. Confirm. And done. That took about 1 minute to do all of those updates. Now just hit Apply Config. And if we go to Connectivity, we can see we now have Clearly Trunking module. If we go to Settings, we now have Clearly Anywhere as well as Clearly Devices. So we are good to go, especially if you purchased any of these awesome Crosstalk phones that I've got sitting right here. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next one.